The Boston Celtics lost 112 to 106 at New York last night, but the Celtics can clinch the second seed in the East tonight at home against the New Orleans Pelicans, while the Knicks are hosting Toronto. The Knicks will be a 6-point favorite, but will they suffer a letdown after that win over the Celtics? We're going to talk about both those games in this video, and let's get right into it. Toronto comes into New York with a record of 45-35. They're 22-18 on the road, and they've moved into the 6th seed via the tiebreaker versus the Atlanta Hawks, and they're coming off a blowout win over Miami. That's back-to-back blowout home wins over the Miami Heat. But Toronto has really struggled in the series against New York this year. The Raptors are 0-4 against the Knicks, and 3 of those 4 losses by double digits. Scotty Barnes, just 13 points in 25 minutes last night. That was a heartbreaker for me. I had his points total over 17.5, and I was expecting him to play more than 25 minutes. Perhaps that bodes well if you like his points total tonight. It's down to 15.5, and the fact that his minutes were limited last night might suggest they were saving him for tonight's game. I think this game means a lot more to the Toronto Raptors than it does to the New York Knicks. I mentioned in the opening that the Celtics can clinch the number 2 seed. Well, they're a 16.5-point home favorite here, so their chances of doing that tonight are pretty high. Toronto, though, 5-9 on the second game of a back-to-back so far this season, 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 versus New York, and they're 0-7 against the spread in their last 7 against New York. They're 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 at New York. So all the trends and all the recent history tells you New York. But last night's win over the Celtics, the fact that their starters played a ton of minutes, let's look at that. All 5 starters played 30-plus minutes. Jalen Brunson, 37 minutes. And, I think the New York Knicks could be scoreboard watching here, and they could be checking out Boston. If Boston's up by 20 at halftime, the Knicks might yank their starters and just call it a day. And why not? They're not going to get that second seed from the Celtics. There's just no way. New York comes in with a 52-28 overall record, 29-9 at home, 3rd in the East. As I said, chances of getting that second seed not happening. The Knicks are 7-6 on no rest, so they do have a winning record, albeit not by much. The Knicks are 6-0 straight up in their last 6 home games, and the under is 5-1 in the Knicks' last 6 versus the Toronto Raptors. I say if you like the Knicks, and I don't particularly, but if you like the Knicks, I would recommend taking them for the first half rather than the full game. As I said, I could see the Knicks doing some scoreboard watching and sitting the starters for the second half in this game. For the full game, I think you got to take the points with Toronto. Just my opinion. We'll talk about the Boston Celtics and the New Orleans Pelicans. But before we do, let me tell you about a brand new promotion we have available right now at WagerTalk.com. And you're going to like this one. It's the summer special. And what can you expect this summer? Well, we got the NBA playoffs coming up. And my record in the last 5 seasons with the NBA playoffs is consistent, and it's pretty stellar. 202 and 158 for a staggering profit of 64 units. But I'm not a one-trick pony, because Major League Baseball equally is important, or more important perhaps, throughout the summer. And a top 3 Major League Baseball handicapper last year with 58 units of profit. That's very consistent, because top 3 in 2025, top 3 since 2024, 2023, 2022, and number 1 overall at WagerTalk with 4% and 5% MLB since 2022, up 115 units on 60% winners. Consistency, tons of profit. You're in good hands if you rock with me this summer. And here's the deal. It's up on the specials page. The summer spectacular, $594 in free value. All the details are there. If there's one guy you want to ride with this summer, it should be myself. By the way, we did sweep with our NBA plays in the video yesterday, looking to pick up where we left off today. And with that, let's get into the Boston Celtics hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans 26-54 overall, 9-30 on the road. Of course, they're eliminated. They're coming off a 156-137 win at home against the Utah Jazz. No big deal. Everybody beats the Jazz these days. That win snapped an 8-game losing streak. You got to think they're set for a letdown here against the Boston Celtics. In fact, all 5 starters carry an injury designation. Zion Williamson and DeJounte Murray are listed as out, so they will not play. A whole bunch of other guys are listed as questionable, doubtful, probably going to sit. I would imagine. I think they're going to leave this game to the 3rd and 4th stringers. But there's one guy who's going to play and probably play a big role in this game, and that's Jeremiah Fears, who was on a tear against the Utah Jazz. He scored 40 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in the win over the Jazz. Of course, he's not playing the Jazz tonight, but given that he's going to be the only real true scorer in the game for the Pelicans, he's probably going to get an awful lot of looks. His PRA sits at 32.5. He's gone over his PRA in 6 of 7. However, it's juiced. The number is getting higher, but he scored 40 points against the Jazz. I think he could easily get 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists here and go over that number. So I would recommend a play on Jeremiah Fears' PRA over 32.5 in this game. As far as the Celtics go, 54-26 straight up, 28-11 at home. They can clinch that 2nd seed here, and the bookmakers say they're going to do it. They're a 16.5-point favorite. Total sits at 223.5. Jaylen Brown did not play last night. He's listed as questionable. Jason Tatum's also listed as questionable, but the line says they're both probably going to play, or at least one of them is going to play. Celtics wouldn't be a 16.5-point favorite if those guys were going to be out of the lineup. Peyton Pritchard last night, 23 points on 10 of 20 shooting in 36 minutes. If you tuned into yesterday's video, I said there was no line available, but I told you to keep an eye on it, and when it comes available, I would be interested in Peyton Pritchard. The line ended up being 16.5 last night, which was a little higher than I would have liked, but I may have still bet it, and I certainly did recommend to you guys to be keeping an eye out for that. He of course obliterated that. Now the line is 17.5 tonight. I think there's no value there. He got his points and he got his minutes last night. There's no guarantee he's going to get that here. It was a far more favorable situation in last night's game. Celtics are 8-1 in their last 9 home games, and the under is 7-3 in Boston's last 10 versus New Orleans. This one, there's only one way you can go, and that's with Boston. But I would actually say take Boston in the first half. They want to clinch that 2nd seed. And like I said, with the Knicks scoreboard watching, I bet you if this is a blowout at halftime, the Knicks pull their starters. I'm sure the Celtics coaching staff would like to see that so they could then pull theirs. That's the way I expected to go. Boston up big at the half, and we like the Raptors plus the points, but we like the Knicks in the first half for those of you who like the Knicks. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, particularly if it's nasty, hit me up in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.